Fire away.
Matt, it sounded on the radio last night like you like this team's just methodical approach to the week. Have you seen that carry on day to day?
Yeah, they've approached this week just like all the other weeks. We have a goal of being consistent and consistently improving. So we don't want to be the same next week as we were this week or this week as we were last week. But we want to improve, but we want to be consistent in that. We don't want to. If all of a sudden we start changing our effort based upon the opponent, we'll end up with the same results we've had previous to this. And so, to me, they've been very good about that.
Kind of thinking about Deshaun Singleton this week because 2 years ago he had that injury on the first play against Michigan and sort of a weird thing with his eligibility that he got another year. What have you seen out of him just taking advantage of this year so far?
Yeah, Deshaun's done a great job. He's playing elite football. He's significantly improved his tackling. And he was always a good tackler, but when you're in the middle, he moved to the kind of the middle of the field as opposed to where he was before in the boundary, and so you end up in when you're in the middle of the field, you come downhill, you've got 53 1/3 yards for the guy to work, and in the offseason, in the fall camp, I showed him some of those plays from last year. Like, here's things that you can improve upon. He plays man to man. He'll play 3 in the slot. Some people try to, hey, we'll try to get speed on the safeties, and he's done a great job of that. He's an elite athlete, and so he's a great leader. Tremendous story, of him getting here. So I'm glad he got the extra year because of the junior college injunction. I thought it was wrong when he didn't get the year back for that one play, but I think there's other reasons, I guess. But happy he got it and glad it worked out.
How quality are special teams in the Big Ten, and what have you seen that encourages you that maybe your unit can affect some league games this year?
I think when you're playing in the weather that we're facing, you're playing in cold games late in the year, wind games in our stadium. The ability to flip the field and all that matters. Early in the season, teams are scoring 50, 60, 70 points. As the year goes on, the games trend down, especially as the weather becomes impacted. And so the ability to punt the ball down and make someone drive the length of the field, the ability to get a good return and flip the field, I think are important. We've played well so far. There's some areas that we have to be better at. Kicking the ball off, and the opponent's starting field position is a key one. Our opponent has an elite kickoff return team, or a really good kickoff return team. So that'll be a really good story to watch. We haven't punted in a couple games, so we'll have to see how far we've come along with that. If we call on Archie, we haven't kicked a field goal in quite some time, so I think there's some things, but we've been practicing, we've been working. Those guys are doing a great job. Eck obviously does a great job. Brett Maher, who went into the Hall of Fame last week here, has done a great job. And so, we'll just have to play it out. It's not any one play is not going to win or lose the game. So, we're just kind of taking the approach of, hey, let's throw everything we have at him.
Makai Nelson didn't play. He was available. Do you expect him to be in rotation this year?
Yep, he's good to go.
How have you seen Quentin Ives, work this week after having kind of a career day, and has he used that as sort of a jumping point?
Yeah, I mean, Quentin was working at a really high level before. It's just, you get injured in training camp. It's one thing when you have a really bad team, you kind of get hurt, you kind of go to the bottom, and you come right back up. Hey, we need you back. When you have the depth that we're building, sometimes when you get hurt, you go to the bottom of the depth chart, because when you come back, because the other guys have shown what they can do, and you have to fight to get back. And so Quentin was just trying to find some roles. Isaiah went out and played some more slot last week. Makai wasn't available. I chose not to play him, and so that gave Quentin his opportunity. But he's a hardworking guy. Does the same thing every week, and I think he believes in himself. He gives us a bigger presence. He's got great speed, and so he'll be ready if called upon.
What has Glenn Thomas done so well? With his work with Dylan, and also you see it in TJ early on in this season.
Yeah, well, Glenn is a process guy. He doesn't care about. It's not like some guys will be like, well, don't do. Well, that worked out. So yeah, you're like Glenn is like, no, this is a step, this is the read, this is the footwork, this is the carriage of the ball, and he's just going to wear you out with it. And so, I've had him at three different stops, right? I just think he's excellent in terms of drilling and demanding what he wants, and not letting positive outcomes detract from that. And I think that's exactly what young quarterbacks need. They need to do everything right and not worry about did it work or not, but just do everything right till it becomes a habit. I think he and Dana are a great combination. You have Dana, who comes from a world of, more of the air raid world of like, though we're not air raid, but he comes from that world of like, hey, find space, hey, let it rip. And, you have Glenn, who comes from the world of the National Football League of 22-word play calls and, 16 checks. And what they've done is, you've got a little bit of, when Dana got here, for him to say, hey, I want to keep these guys, I want to keep Glenn, like most guys wouldn't do that. It's just what makes Dana so special. To want the staff to stick together because he liked the way they worked. And he remember him telling me early on, like, hey, I need what Glenn has. I need that methodical, disciplined, relentless approach to it. I need all those ideas of how to do things like an NFL team, and then, I'll bring the mindset that I have that's scored a lot of points for a lot of years. And so I think it's been a really good marriage.
Y'all are this weekend. Just what have some of your interactions been with those guys, and what do you hope the 2025 team can learn from them?
Well, I think anytime that I think what you can learn is anytime that you win a back-to-back championships, that's a consistent commitment to process. That's a consistent commitment to playing to a standard and not, hey, we won this. We won this game, so hey, we can do whatever we want this week. There's the psychology of results, as Bill Parcells talks about, and sometimes winning can be just as detrimental, as losing. I saw Brent Key talk the other day, talk about Coach Saban. He said more people die on the way down from Mount Everest, I think he said, than the way up. Just you get to the mountaintop and you stay there. And so what the 95 team was able to do to, win it the previous year and then come back and do it again. When everyone's aiming for you, everyone's gunning for you, to me speaks to, the beauty of the University of Nebraska and how it, I always say to myself, as you're going through hard times, as you're going through good times, it says on the stadium day by day. I was saying that the first year when everyone was like, you guys just lost this, you lost that. And I'd be like, hey, day by day, let's just get better today than we were yesterday. Let's get better tomorrow than we were today. And so they exemplify that. And so there's been, we have every practice open to former players. They can come through anytime they want. Jay Foreman does a great job for us communicating with those guys. And, I think the thing for us is, inviting them in. And, Jared Tomich was at practice today, right? I think the biggest thing for us is we want to be inviting, and we want to make this where, no matter what era, when you played, where you played, what your contribution was on the field or off the field, that you always feel welcome to be here. And there hasn't been a guy, that I've run across that hasn't tried to help or said, hey, what can I do? And, some of the former players have helped us in, hey, here's a player, here's a guy, you should look at this guy, and they've turned out to be really good. So just very grateful to be at a place that can honor former teams. There's, it's really something special to be at a school where you're not trying to do something for the first time, where it's been done. Because when you know that it's been done, it can be done. And so it was really special last year running out before Colorado to the 94 team. It'll be really special running out to the 95 team.
How crucial do you think it is for Emmett that he's gotten essentially 3 quarters off of his workload the past 2 weeks heading into Saturday?
Especially after that first week where we played him a ton, right? And I think that was part of the thought the first week was like, hey, I would have, like as I said then, I would have liked to have rotated more, but it's just kind of how the game went. But I think we knew that weeks 2 and weeks 3, if we did what we're supposed to do, we don't plan ahead like, hey, but like, we knew like, hey, we'll have a chance to play a lot of guys. And so after 3 games, guys will have a lot of reps that are backups, and a lot of starters will have some reps off their body. So I think at the tailback position, you want that. And I think the thing with Emmett, he does a great job. He's a 3-down back. He can run the football. He can catch the football. He can pick up blitzes. When you're facing the defense that we're facing, and the coordinator is elite at what he does, your backs are going to have to pick up blitzes. They're going to have to be on this side and scan back for a corner, scan back for a safety, and so there's a physical toll to that. And but no one prepares better than Emmett. He's elite in terms of taking care of his body. And your point's really, really well said. I'm glad that he had those quarters off so we could get other guys reps, but also take off some of the duress physically.
Coach, can you speak to just the excitement, anticipation of getting back to Big Ten play and playing Michigan? Obviously a big game this weekend.
Yeah. We very much never want to make one game bigger than the other in terms of the football part of it, but in terms of, as I've said a couple times, like bringing excitement to Lincoln and having people be excited. Like last year's Colorado game to me was an iconic moment that I hope, someday my kids are talking about. Remember that time, being at Wisconsin last year, beating them for the first time, and we were going to go to a bowl game. That was an amazing moment for so many people. I can't tell you how many people from the first 2 years I was here talked about students. Coach, I came back for another year. I just want to go to a bowl game, please. I don't care where it is. Just get us to a bowl game. So you want to, from a global perspective, as you represent the university in the ways in which you do, certainly we don't represent them academically, but when people turn on I want them to see excitement. I want them to see an amazing fan base. I want them to see a rocking stadium. I want them to see a state united behind a team. And those are all the things that we have. I want them to see elite facilities, elite players. And then I want you to see a football team that plays the game the right way. So I don't want to minimize the excitement of having a ranked team come here for the first game. I don't want to minimize the excitement. I mean, I'm excited about it. Like, this is why you came to Nebraska, to play these games, Last week was fun, and for a lot of guys, that was they don't get a chance to play very often, but they work really hard. That was their chance to play. That's why we were so locked in at halftime. Those weren't we released a couple speeches, and I just got asked about it on the TV show. Those weren't pre-games; those were halftimes because we wanted to get everyone in the game, and so that was important. But now this is why you came to Nebraska, and we had a vision of being a program that would be relevant nationally, not for our history only, but for what we're doing right now, and so. Through 3 games we are, we'll see, you got to play. But I'm excited, I'm excited to play in the Big Ten, but I'll be just as excited 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now. I just personally believe at the University of Nebraska, every game is a big game because we're playing in it. And as soon as we all have that mindset in the locker room and in the building, then we'll be awesome. There's a lot of weeks you guys ask me a lot about us. There's all the weeks you guys ask me about the opponent. I'm focused on us. I can't control them. They're an excellent team. They're great coaches, but I want our guys locked in and ready to go. I know our fans will be locked in and ready to go. I know you guys will be locked in and ready to go. I'll be locked in. It's an epic day, national TV. And, even just for the university, think about how many students all across the country are going to turn that game on and see us play and see our student section and see what's happening here. I mean, kids want to go to schools where there's something exciting going on. I remember the year I was looking at this job. I remember turning on the Wisconsin game and being like, it was kind of stoic. It was kind of staid, and I was like, all right, well, now, that wasn't Colorado. That wasn't last week, and it's not going to be on Saturday. So all that doesn't matter if you don't play well, though. So I'll just focus on the football, but the guys, by the way that they've worked, have enabled us to have this moment, so I'm excited for it.
All good.
That's it. All right, guys, thanks.
Thank you.